So you've been, let's say, investing in this space for some while now. So how important is portfolio construction in your own opinion before we discuss in the slides?
There are two things that affect your investment. One is greed, another one is fear. So, if you really have a portfolio construction on ground before, then all these two factors I mentioned will not really affect your portfolio because you have a goal you want to achieve
Okay.
and you have already have in mind how much you will lose and how much you will gain, then pull out and maybe move to a stable coin for safety and the rest. So something like crypto portfolio is something that is needed for every investor in crypto. That's why you're in the crypto space.
Okay, so in this video, we'll give you some tips about how do you go about portfolio construction. We do not claim to be an expert in this field, people, but these are some of our best practices and some of studies we've done with some people. So as we will see in the next slide, the first thing is have a plan. You will not go and build a house. If you want to build a house, you have an architectural plan. This is the kind of house I want. These are the number of rooms. This. If you want to go to war, this is how many men I have. This is how I think the war should go and all that. There ought to be a plan that is written down. Many people come in this space. There is no plan. They had somebody, a friend that just blew, and they are like, "Oh, what's this thing? How do I come in?" There's no plan. There's no plan on money. How do I get money to invest? There's no such plan. Okay, I've gotten some money. How do I invest it? What should I invest it in? There's no plan. How much of it should I invest? There's no plan. When should I come in? Entry and exit points. They don't know when to enter. They don't know when to. There's nothing like, okay, I bought some stuff. How do I maximize my holdings? Am I going to stake them, or am I going to lend them, or am I just going to leave them dormant? So there is no plan. So the first thing is having a plan. The next slide talks about knowing your risk appetite. Oh my goodness. Do you know some people actually borrow money to invest? They're like, okay, yeah. If I borrow 20,000 naira and the thing goes 10s, that is 200,000 naira, I will return the 20,000 naira to the person with a little bit of interest. Then I still have a lot of stuff by my side, and they don't know it's two steps, right? So know your risk capital. So let's take for example, you are somebody that has a family. You have a family house, and then you now go and take a loan against the house because we want to invest it. So now you've lost the money. Maybe there was hack or the coin went to zero, right?
Yeah.
And now the bank or wherever you're going to lend the money, you will not come and tell the story now. They are saying that I said you will not come and tell them story, right? So
Yeah.
they are not saying you should move out of the house. So you have a wife, your kids. They are going out. They're going to stay on the streets. Why? Because you do not know your risk. How much risk can you take? So knowing the amount to invest, that is number one risk. And then the type of asset. So knowing the amount to invest, there are two things. You will not go and invest your rent. You know, when there is this scam that came out, MMM, I heard somebody was saying that he even invested in school fees into MMM. So it means you will drop out. You have to fail. You fail because you did not know what kind of risk to take. So the type of assets we'll talk about in the next slide. We'll talk about the kind of assets and risk. So there are risk levels. There is low risk, low reward. So these are the established ones like BTC, Ethereum, and all that. The risk there, not so much. We have the medium risk, medium reward. So those are like smart contract chains, like Ethereum, also like the Avas, the Cardanos, and all that, Polkadot. People will be using them, right? And then another thing again is the exchange tokens like BNB.
Yeah.
So I think BNB is a very good investment in this respect, because number one is an exchange, and number two, it has its own smart contract blockchain, and then number three is that it does this thing called burning, so the risk is a little bit low. So if BNB is not doing well on the exchange side, it might be doing well on the blockchain set of things, so the risk is a little bit low. And then the now kind is the medium risk, high reward. So these are like those in the $100 million or in the hundreds, nothing close to a billion. So those are some of the risk. Then high risk is high reward. Those are the ones that just launched, maybe using Pocoin, and you want to get in by all means, and those ones have very, very high risk. So know what level of risk you are willing to expose yourself to. So like we said, once you understand these things, everything revolves around the emotions, fear, and then greed. So know how to balance this stuff. There's a time where you become over cautious, meaning you are too fearful, and there's that time where you are not cautious, you are too optimistic, and you become greedy and you don't know. So the next slide, we'll talk about doing your own research. So oftentimes people ask the question like, what do you recommend I buy? Maybe there's a popular influencer, in our world, there's this thing called social proof, or somebody wants to become a social authority. He comes and say, if you had bought so yesterday when I said it, you would have gotten so amount of money and all that. And many of these things, you're like, I missed it yesterday. Okay, next time if he says something, I will just go and buy. And if the person is not saying, they will now say, okay, so what do you recommend I will buy? But these things ought not to be so. You have to do your own research. We'll have a video that's coming up on how can you do your own research. You must do your own research. That is part of the first thing we talk about. Have a plan. So having a plan is not just the money aspect of this is what I want to put my money. No, you have to have how much time am I willing to, on a weekly basis, to put in this thing, to research, make research yourself. Because if you do that, there's this thing that comes with conviction investing. So you now know why you bought a certain kind of stuff. So you will not just sell when there's a little bit of panic, or you will not just buy because people are rushing into it. So the next slide, we'll talk about taking profits. So there has to be a plan on how do you take profits. So like I said here, maybe you bought a coin at 0.01. You can have a plan and say, okay, I'm taking my initial investment at 0.02 to 0.03, taking another percent at 0.05, taking another percent at 0.08. And this is just like a rough plan, right? So how many percent you take and at what price, it's all dependent on you. One of the things is that nobody knows the top. So sometimes we say, oh, it keeps going up. It will keep going up. It will keep going up. I know that. And we refuse to know that what goes up comes down. So since you don't know when it's going to go up and you don't know when it's going to come down, it's more better you develop a strategy for taking profits down the way. Because let's take, for example, a stuff goes from maybe 0.01 to 0.1, which is like a 10 times return. It is almost hard for you to time it. So some persons, people came at different level. You came in at 0.01, somebody else came in at 0.02, other person will come in at 0.03. So in the list, so it is very, very hard for you to ride it to the top and make everything. That's why you take part. In this space, people become greedy. Like in the traditional space, you get a return of 25% on your investment. You are happy. But now you get 2x, you get 3x. People are like, no, even 10x, people are not comfortable. They're like 100x. Can't I get 1,000x? And they refuse to understand that certain things are like outliers. If you put your perspective in, you don't set the expectations too high, set the expectations too low, you'll be better. So the number 5 thing that you can do is to see moments like this, cut your losses. So many times I think you've been there. There are times where you're like, oh, something is falling and you don't want to sell. So what is your opinion on that? Should you hold it till it gets to zero, or you should just sell and then move on?
I think I faced similar issue recently.
Okay.
There are some things you can't risk.
Okay.
Yeah, so I have a token. So during this Russia and Ukraine issue, so the coin was falling, but my fear was not that it was falling. It's the way it was falling. That's what scared me, And it got to the point whereby I got back to my initial capital. So I can't take this risk. I lose everything. So I have to swap to USDT. So you have to understand something is that, okay, maybe you fail to take the previous advice in this video by not taking your profits. So at least you should take your money also. Because at times let's take the so it's better you get back your profit, your capital, than losing it all because you lost profit. Yes, it's good you lost the profit. You didn't lose your own money. There are people who lose their main capital they invested in it. But at times our greed gets to us, it will upset us to the extent that we are not even grateful that we didn't lose everything. We didn't lose everything. So when I was looking at the market as things are really getting bad, and moreover, let me save to USDT. Things might get worse. It's still to your own advantage. Let me get my capital. Maybe things get very worse that you now have a USDT to buy instead of when the token or coin has fallen, you don't have anything to buy. You just lose everything. I see that to be very a form of foolishness. It's not greed anymore because you are losing both. You have lost profit already. You want to lose the capital. So I took my capital and save it in USDT. So I begin to wait for the market to drop before I come into the market. So that's what I have to say about that.
Okay, I think one of the other things is that there is this thing of which the first thing I was talking about, having a plan, how much you are willing to invest. That is very, very critical. Let's take for example, there are two persons. Two of them earn same amount of money, right? So they can be working in the same office, but two of them have different responsibilities. Maybe one of them has one wife, the other has two wives. Maybe one has one child, the other has two or more children. So two of them don't have the same amount of money to invest. One of them is staying in a very expensive house. The other one has a car. So it's just for you to know that yes, I'm earning this amount of money, but everything is not mine. Our parents, I'll take care of my kids, my wife, this, I'll put some money for emergency savings and all that. Once people put these things in proper perspective, then they cannot know what and how much they should invest. Because so that sometimes a little bit of maybe loss, maybe the market's crashing like now, people don't even sleep at night. They're like, if you put everything, like, imagine borrowing money and then you took 10, you are like, that's why you see people, there are many people in this space who have high blood pressure. I'm telling you. You just see somebody, a young person, just have high blood pressure. How? It is, there is no plan in place. So it's because you heard somebody say he made some amount of money. Then you don't sit down and ask yourself, from how do I get there and walk the journey? So you have to cut your, so cutting your losses, there are two things. There are some things you invest your money in. You are willing to say, okay, if it goes to zero, I'm willing to go to zero. There are others. You may not be willing to take risk. That is number one. The number two is that it's okay some of your times, like if the bear market comes, it's okay to put it in USDT and be any interest on it. Just be on the sideline. And when you see that there's a little bit of life coming to the market and you cannot come back, let's take for example, BTC, I think there was a time it was $20,000. Then it fell all the way down to 3,000. Now you could have removed your money at any point before that 3, right? And so, and then you could also have left it. So it all depends on how much you are willing to lose. So the next one is, okay, avoid FOMO. So this one is very, very, very critical. It says the opportunity cost. So the opportunity cost of you getting something is opportunity is at the expense of something else. So a very good example is that you cannot be in two locations at the same time. So you are, if you are in one place, it means that, so let's take for example, somebody invites you for a party and then somebody is also inviting you for another party. It means that if you are at the same time, if you are to attend one party, you must miss the other party. So there is so much going on in the space. NFTs, metaverse, and DAOs, these smart contract blockchains, layer 2, this DeFi and all that. You can't, there's like, how many people are in this space? Like over 100 million people. So how do you keep up with, and how many developers are in this space? Well, I have like hundreds of thousands of them who are coming in different programming languages. So how do you keep up with everything? You can't keep up with everything. So you don't just hear something with the ear and then you're like, oh, we're just rushing. So avoid FOMO. That's, you can see that FOMO versus JOMO. FOMO is the fear of missing out. JOMO is the joy of missing out. There are things you just have joy and say, thank God, oh, I did not buy.
Exactly.
So do you have any experience with FOMO? Okay,
Yeah,
JOMO.
yeah. No, it's Jomo. Yeah. This token was early. I
Okay.
think it was trending all over the internet. So, uh, great influencers and the rest. So, by the time I heard about it already, I was gotten to $1. So, but I said I can't risk it. I think
Yeah.
it got to $1 because people are buying it. I said, what about if it falls? So I just say, let me not buy. Then before I look, the thing fell. So people are now buying. Those who have before buy had to it. So as far this token did like this, it
Okay.
would do it again. Till date, he hasn't gotten up. I think it's more than 90 or 60 days now. He hasn't it hasn't increased at all. So a lot of people invested in it now really getting offended,
Recommended it.
at attacking those who who recommended it for them. Some even use their school fees, and the rest. So they got very, very bitter because one, they got in when everybody is already in the market. So I said, and I was happy. I said I would have been among these people, and I wanted to invest. I think was about $200 to $1,000. Thank God, though. Thank God, though, I have my money back. You know. So anytime I begin to remember that at times it's not everything. These days I'm not limiting what I do. Not limiting what I'm doing in the space. Before I want to do everything, I feel bad whenever I'm not part of anything. I'm trying to meet up here and there, but these days now, being
Okay, the next
strategic with
slide
our experience.
is don't follow influencers blindly. There are a few reasons. One of them is that they have most of them, not some, or some of them have courses to sell you. They're like, oh, come, I made this call. How do I get in? Come over my course. I have a group, this and that, private group and all that. Now, I'm not against having a course. We intend to create a course in the near future. But irrespective of who the person is, even in the scriptures, for example, like in the Bible, for example, you see a point where the Bible said that, I think it was in Acts, this believer said the believers in Berea were more noble than those in Thessalonica, in the sense that whatever they were taught, they had to go home and then they have to study for themselves. So it's what happened in our world, be it in religious circles, educational circles, and all manner of places. People are lazy, if I'm to put that word. People don't like to admit this truth, but people are lazy. They can't sit down and do research on themselves. Every single thing that comes to them, they just take it. And this is where deceit comes in. And this is where courts come in. People don't like to be criticized. And if you say something that goes against what they've heard from a trusted person that they seem to trust, they just take it. And they refuse to know that humans are humans. So let's take, for example, I have a friend. Sometimes he asks me and say, okay, what should I buy? It's not something I actually give advice on, but due to my relationship with him, I have this friend since 2017. So I do give him counsel. He's in India. So I do give him counsel. He will buy this and that. I think like 90% of what I have told him so far has been accurate. But that does not mean that now there's a 10% that may not be, that didn't go according to. So it's a human. So don't follow influencers blindly for certain reasons. The number 2 reason is that if everything works around supply and demand, right? So an influencer already knows this thing. That if I recommend, if he buys X amount of token, whether the token is a good one or a bad one, and he comes out and let's say he has 100,000 followers, just imagine 10% of the followers, that is 10,000, buys that token. It will rise up. Now, by the time the influencer is saying it, you are already too late to buy. And so influencers should not be followed blindly, because so that it's only a foolish man that blames another person for his failure. And say, and you are the one that recommended this stuff, now the thing is crashing. No, it's only a foolish person that does it. You want to sit down. Every single thing that comes from an influencer, that does not mean you discard it, right? So if I see an influencer talk about something, I write it down. I'll go and research about it by myself. Okay, this thing is good. I will put my money. This thing is bad. You take off. And that's stuff. And then another thing again is that influencers are humans also. So don't follow the influencer blindly. So the next slide talk about focus and specialization. There's so much in the space. So you can see in the diagram, you want to focus. It's very, very critical. So imagine, for example, we have laser beams. There is this thing in physics we are taught about, is a refraction. So if you have a piece of paper, for example, and then there's a way you take you have something like a glass or something. I can't even remember. It's been a long time. You can focus the light from the sun. There's a way you focus on the paper. It will burn the paper. So that tells you the power of focus. So this space, it looks so small, but it's big. If you are even doing decentralized finance alone, it's big. If you are doing NFTs is a whole big thing. If you are doing anything, so you want to pick a sector. Number one, and if you want to do NFT, do NFT. If you want to do DAOs, do DAOs. If you want to do DeFi, do DeFi. And then you want to pick an ecosystem or few ecosystem. And that does not mean if you are doing NFT, you cannot do gaming or you cannot do DeFi. But you want to pick just one or two or three maximum, and pick an ecosystem. If you want to cover Avalanche ecosystem, fully immerse yourself there. If you want to do Polkadot, Kusama, because if you do too much, you just be average. You don't know the gems and all that. So focus and specialization is very needed. Because it's number one, it will help you save time and energy, and then you will be an expert in that space, which will translate to you making better decisions. So the next slide, talk about less is more. How many tokens should you hold? How many do you think do you know how many tokens are in your portfolio?
I think not all token I bought anyway. Some of them I worked for it. So there's this particular token. It's in my wallet, but it's useless. The people initially the project was built with Ethereum. Then Ether moved to Binance. So talking of doing less, this is the advantage of doing less. So I wasn't aware that they are moved to Binance and they give a date for you to swap your token. So I didn't swap. So currently now I have a useless token which is not useful in my wallet. So that is just one thing. And I only have few tokens. Not much. I only have few tokens. And those tokens are just based on a few ecosystem. So I don't have much. I didn't. Although
so there is something I am actually
different types and the rest, but I didn't. I didn't do that.
Looking into,
luckily,
which is, I think if you have less than, I think what people recommend is like maybe between 4 to 10. So nobody's going to tell you how many tokens should be in your portfolio. But one of the things I recommend is like 90% of, let's say, the value of funds you've invested in should be in between just 4 to 10 cryptos. Because if you spread them too much, so let's say for example you have $100, you can decide to invest $1 in each coin, and then you have 100 coins, or you can decide to limit how much you invest. So less is more, so that you can be able to maximize better and to keep track of them. Because Just imagine, for example, you invest in different tokens. Now, these tokens, you have to control the private keys and all that. So these tokens, it's a daunting challenge. So that is one. Hold less, and then you can trade as many. If you are trading, you can trade this one today, another time trade. So trading, you're not basically holding anything and all that. And then the next slide. Okay, follow trends. Now, not all the time. So there is a part of your portfolio that these ones will be here as long as possible. On that time again, you follow trends. So like in 2020, it was decentralized finance, APRO, liquidity pools and all that. That one has come and gone. I think it may come back again. But if you are investing in DeFi tokens, they're not profitable like before. 2021 is the metaverse and NFTs. That was when the likes of Sandbox and all that blew. 2022, we don't know the trend yet, but we can see the directions. Is it play to earn and the rest of it? So, know the trends. So, knowing the trends. The next slide. Understand time frames. Some things in your portfolio are not for today. Maybe they're like for 10 years. Others maybe you buy them maybe for a short time, like 6 months, mid-term. Others are long-term. So you want to understand time frames and allocate funds properly. The next slide, we talk about time and money. You want to create systems on how do you do research, systems on things around money. This industry is a 24/7 industry, meaning as you're sleeping, somebody else is awake. Okay. When the internet was just invented, it was not that spread. Now we have the tools, you can do Zoom and the rest of them. So, and then people have sleeping disorders.
Yeah.
People say in the space that we're in a bull market, so they sleep less than 4 hours. I just feel, there's, our world today, productivity is being, if you tell somebody that you sleep 8 hours or even 10 hours, they're like, so you're sleeping like 1/3 of your life. No, these things are not true. I usually tell people it's not. There are some people that they can be awake till 2 a.m. before they sleep. I tell them it's not when you sleep that matters. It is what you do with your time while you are awake.
There are times when I need sleep. If I don't sleep that sleep, I should be awake 24 hours. I cannot be productive. I woke up since in the morning. I couldn't do anything. I didn't even touch my laptop. So I think it was around 3 p.m. I was able to catch a sleep. I woke up by 6 p.m. So after resting a little bit, watch some little movie, I got myself back. Then I was able to able to complete a job which I was finding it difficult to do before. There was no excuse. I just have this motivation to just work on, and I work very fast. I was like, so I can work this fast, and
Okay,
time
so the
is
next
flying
slide.
with my laptop. I can't do anything at all.
So
There's
always
no
have
work
dry
to do.
powder. You want to
So
consider, you want to buy the dip, like the market is dipping right now, you may want to buy. In that spectrum, it goes up. When you want to do dollar cost averaging, you set a minimum amount of time, okay, every week, or so I'll be buying so amount. So it also helps. The next slide, we talk about there are general tips, of which I said only invest free money. So by free money, I mean if your father gave you money to pay school fees, that is not free money. So school has not resumed, or they are not disturbing us for the school fees yet. Let me use it to invest. That is not free money. Don't go into the debt to invest. Don't invest more than you can lose. So these are some of the stuff. So this. What is your take before we
went to print something and the pastor was complaining that the money for crusade he invested it in MMM, and it's a good thing he want to do for the church. He doesn't want to bother his neighbor that much. So he was hoping that before the crusade he will cash out. So he said that they also using that money to do the crusade, which he got from the parish. He can just cash out with that money and pay for other things in the church, and no need to bother the neighbors. But the way you plan also, uh, it doesn't work like that. So the guy lost the money. He lost the money. So the same thing with cryptocurrency. A lot of people say this person is making millions, is making millions. I prefer me growing small, small than just making it once. Because at times the people doesn't share. When you search the social media, no one have shared their red trading screen once. They only show you the green when they profited only. So nobody shows you all those parts. So when you are doing things, you have to consider your own financial stand also and know the kind of risk you will be able to take. Yes, I know opportunity come but once, but in the crypto space there are numerous
One of the
opportunities.
things that people
We
don't
have the deep
put
also.
in
So you have to
perspective
consider
is
all these things before
that
making decisions,
um,
and you should have
our
your own
our
priority
paths are
and risk.
different.
That's
That's
really
one of the
all
things
it
that
is.
people don't understand. So the very fact that somebody came and said, "Oh, I did this, I got this result in such an amount of time," does not mean you will get such results in that amount of time. Uh, I always tell people, every single counsel you receive, don't just apply it blindly. Ask yourself, how does this thing fit into my current situation, and how do I leverage it? Okay, a very good example is something like school. Going to school is good, but you want to ask yourself basic questions like, do I want to go full time, or I want to have a part time program? Full time, it means that most of your time may be devoted to working, to school. And if you don't have someone, a benefactor, who is footing your bills, you will be under more stress. So people should sit down and know how things apply to the situation, and then once people learn to put things in proper context, that you are not going to be rich overnight. It's just few cases of people who come in and once you set your proper perspective, that things may come so sudden. If they come sudden, good, but you have that patience, you want to wait it out, it will be very, very better for you. So that is all for now. Thank you very much.